Hey guys, Nomus RC. We're going to be doing a couple of things to the Vendetta today. One of them that I did go ahead and do, since I had put shoe goo here to hold the wing down, I went ahead and just drilled a hole through it. Put a nut in there, just held it with pliers, and then put an M3 screw and a washer. So this is properly held. Not really sure why they didn't secure that down, but it is secure now. So today we got in a new receiver for it. This is the Radiolink R7FG. These are about 20 bucks. So the nice thing about this receiver is it has two very, very large antennas, right? So you're never going to have a range issue. Honestly, this probably has about the range of a flight receiver for an airplane or a helicopter. But what it also has, the main reason that I got it, is because it comes with this little adapter, which we may or may not use. But it plugs into here on the receiver and it sends your voltage to your radio. And so once we get this installed, I'll actually show you on the radio. And then in the radio, you can set it up for how many cells that this car uses and what voltage that you want the radio to beep at you for. Now, there's a very specific reason that I'm doing this on this vehicle. That ESC does not have programmable low voltage control. Normally, that's not a big deal, right? But as soon as your pack hits 3.8 and you get a dip at all in power and it touches LVC at all, it will enable low voltage and then it will never come out of it. Now, I know that this isn't just a problem with my car because me and two other friends bought these cars for 200 bucks and they all do the same thing. With different battery packs, with different everything, they all do the same exact thing. Not very happy with that. So I'm going to have to spend money on this car and add my own receiver. The one thing that you can program on that is you can put it into nickel metal hydride mode so that there's no low voltage control at all. And then I will have my radio beep at me when the voltage is low. Every RTR that I've ever had, you can do just button programming and you can adjust your low voltage and take it down to 3.3 or whatever it is that you want to put it down to. Something else that I did want to point out is somebody mentioned in my video that these are adjustable shocks, and sure enough they are. They just really do not look like it. This red looked like it was the shock cap. So I honestly don't really know what the shock cap is on this. This is a very weird design shock. But anyway, they are adjustable, so I torqued them up a little bit because the rear was really, really sagging when I give hard throttle. So, and it was lifting the front end. And obviously you don't want that because you don't want it to take off and become airborne, right? So let's go ahead and get to work on this, get the new receiver in it. So we will go ahead and pop the receiver out that I actually put in here. So channel 1 is always your servo. So the very top is channel 1 and negative goes all the way to the outside. Channel 2 is always going to be our ESC. And then these are actually, this particular is just the fan for the motor. You can plug that into literally any channel. As long as you get the negative and the positive correct, you can put it wherever you want. And then I think that this is actually going to reach. I don't like the gauge of the wire though. So we're going to cut this out and we're going to do it just like we did on the X-Max and on the Felony. So we'll go ahead and kick on our radio. We'll switch over to the Vendetta. All right. Let's go ahead and power the vehicle on. So we will have to press this button to bring it into bind mode. There we go, it's bound. You press and hold the button for about a second till it flashes quickly, and then you don't do anything on the Radiolink radios. They automatically know how to bind, and then it'll bind right up. And so you can see, we're good to go there. Let's go ahead and turn up our gyro and see if that's functioning. It is not. All right, so it says that we press the button 3 times rapidly. And that will change our mode. Now it's red, and you can see as soon as I touch the receiver, the tires are freaking out. So let's turn the gyro all the way down, sensitivity. Let's install it into the vehicle just roughly, right? And then we'll turn the gyro sensitivity back up. So the gyro is actually reversed, so we're going to need to reverse it. So it says to press the binding key twice, and that will reverse the gyro direction. And we can see it did something there. Oops. So let's put this back in the vehicle. And let's turn up the gyro. And now let's see which way that we're going here. So when we move the vehicle this way, the tires should turn this way. And that's exactly what they're doing. That's doing exactly what it should be doing. So now that we have everything set up correctly, we can go ahead and start finishing the installation. Grab some double-sided tape, get this receiver stuck down in here. We will go ahead and get this installed into the receiver. We can go ahead and start running our wiring out of the little waterproof seal right there. You just take your wire and you just push it right down in between those. And we'll do that for all of the wires. Okay, we got everything shoved down into the radio box, right? We have these wires for the ESC and the fans routed around here, and then everything is put into that notch, and then we'll just put the cap on. And there we go, we got a new receiver in it. Now what I like to do with these Radiolink receivers is I like to go ahead and put your antenna tube on here, right? Wherever it is on the vehicle that the antenna tube goes, and then go ahead and secure your antenna tube down with your little grub screw. Then personally, I like to take some pieces of heat shrink, right, and just put it right down over both the antennas, and then just put it right down over top of that antenna tube, right? We got the cap reinstalled on the radio box. We have our two wires here for our telemetry data, and then we got our antennas all installed right here. Those are good to go. Very, very long range. Very, very long range. All right, so now I will show you what I do for these. Personally, just avoid cutting up the wire, but even if you do cut it up a little bit, I mean, you're going to be dumping solder on here. But I just remove some of the silicone, right? And then I'll strip these two wires back. And then I will just solder them directly onto this right here. Right? And then I'll just put a little bit of tape around them. So let's go ahead and get those soldered up real quick. And there we go. Now we got telemetry data coming right through to our positive and our negative. And we will get a reading on our radio. And so let's go ahead and cover this up with a little bit of tape. And there we go. Now we have telemetry data coming right onto our radio. Super easy, super cheap. So we'll fire up the vehicle. And then boom, we immediately see on screen 10.9, right? And I did have to go in here and adjust the alarm. And I had to set what voltage that I want it to beep at me at. 3S LiPo, 3.3 volts is what I want it to be able to go down to. So 3.3 times 3 is 9.9. And right now we're at 10.9, so we still have plenty of voltage left. You know, probably storage charge basically. And what will happen is if you hit 9.9 volts, it'll beep at you. And if it goes below 9.9 volts, it will actually enable failsafe on the whole thing, and it will shut the vehicle off, and the screen will just say, like, you are under voltage and you can't do anything. So literally the same thing as what low voltage control does, only in my opinion, obviously better, because you can see the exact voltage. So now we need to go into the ESC itself and program it for nickel metal hydride mode so that we can get away from it cutting the vehicle off, as the whole purpose of this. So we'll go ahead and turn it on, and we'll let it do its little boot up. And then we're going to press the set button once. Okay, so we're on number 1, right? And that's the one that we want to change. You can hit the set button once. Now we can hear that it goes beep beep. And it was only beeping once. So that's the mode that we actually want to save. So we'll go ahead and just shut the ESC off. And now we're in nickel metal hydride mode. So now we can do all of our low voltage control with our radio.